Alright, so some key things talked about with the hammer-ons. One is making sure you use enough force to make the hammer-on happen. So maybe if you... It sounds like that the hammer-on's not coming out well enough. Make sure that you give it a little bit more oomph. And make sure you go down fast enough. Because that was like one of the last things talked about last night with this kind of exercise. Is that if you move your fingers too slow, you're just going to mute the string out and it's not going to actually ring. So you need to be able to put your finger down fast enough, even if you're doing it at a slow pace. Like you go from note to note at a slow pace, but your fingers can't move slow like that, because then that happens, it just cuts off. So you got to make sure that you slam them down at the right time. Okay, so here's how exercise 1 should sound at 60. If you find yourself having a hard time locking onto what the rhythm is, just count triplets. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and so on. Alright, let's go to 80. We'll go up in smaller increments for the demo this time. So here it is. $100. $120. $140. And the minimum speed you gotta get back to 160. So we both know you can do that speed fine and faster. Just gotta, again, this is more of a rhythm thing than a speed thing, I believe, and just getting you more accustomed to recognizing when a note doesn't happen. And remember to make these notes here, you know, that note and that note, let them ring out. Don't just chop them off. I'm going to make sure that you clearly hear that note ring for a bit to make sure that hammer-on was performed. Alright, on to the next one. I probably should have practiced this before I go to demo it, with as nutty as it is. Well, let's see how it goes. So yeah, if you need to write it out, definitely do so. Just remember, you write out the full count, the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you underline the part that you play on. Makes it a lot easier to follow. Let's see how I do. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3, and 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 4, and 4, and 3, and 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 4, and 4, and done. Okay, so one thing you may have noticed after I did the repeat, going from this chord back to this, I ignored the rests. So if I was to transcribe this, or write it out, tab it, whatever, I would have to make it a bit more confusing to read in order to make it set to look the way exactly how I want it to sound. So to keep things simple, I just wrote it this way. So when you do the repeat, let the chord ring out here instead of cutting it off. Try it that way. Alright, on to this guy. Okay. So yeah, all upstrokes this time. Just a reminder, do the other version where you can do it all downstrokes at 160. Just for like maintenance, to make sure that you continue with that. And for a challenge, try playing it all the way through 2 times. See if you can actually keep up with that. So if you can't, no big deal, but at least this way you're pushing the endurance with it. Alright, let's see, is this set up right? So I'm going to play along to the MIDI track this time so I can actually have the full thing up on screen. And change a little setting here. Okay. Here goes something. Partway through that the desktop audio was being captured as well, and it looks like it was louder than the guitar. Oops. Well, hopefully that guitar cuts through well enough anyway. Yeah, so that takes care of it all, I think. Well, good luck getting all that extra homework done, and yeah. If you have any issues with a particular part in, I'll bring that back up. For this one, it's like this one especially, I noticed that the bigger stretches where you had the most trouble last night, repeat it. Just repeat the hell out of this. Maybe like 5 to 10 times. If you run, like you're trying to work this up to speed, or even when you're playing it at 160, just like 5 to 10 times in a row of that line there, just to make sure that you get really, really comfortable with it. So anytime you come into that sort of trouble spot with something, just repeat it a lot and before going back into trying the whole thing. Okay, if you have questions, let me know. I will see you again. We're not going over that. Well, I will see you again on Monday.